Welcome to another episode of the Zebra Influencer Series. I'm your host, Scott Reyes. And if we haven't had the luxury of meeting before, I'm the Senior Manager for Alliances and ISVs for North America at Zebra Technologies. In today's episode, we have a distinct honor of working with Paul Voigt, who's going to be on the call with us from Loftware. And Paul is the Director of Marketing and Strategic Alliances and Channels out of Loftware. Paul, welcome. Paul, thanks for joining us, and thanks for giving us an overview today of a little bit what Loftware is. Last we met was a couple of months ago, and you shocked and surprised me. Do you remember why?
I can't remember shocking anyone, least of all you, Scott. But I do remember telling you that the global supply chain runs on Zebra printers.
That's true. And I wasn't shocked about the printers being on the global supply chain. I knew that to be true. So again, can you help me understand what was shocking and surprising for you?
Okay, so I do remember also telling you, so part of our big thing with Zebra is that every company's supply chain would collapse without the barcode labels printed by Zebra printers. If a barcode label doesn't print or prints wrong, the knock-on effect downstream can be devastating.
So go on. Yeah. So again, that may be true, but that wasn't what shocked and surprised me. I knew that to be true.
So go on. What was so shocking? Remind me.
So you told me that there's a better labeling solution than a Zebra printer. Now, come on. How could that actually be true?
Okay. I'm pretty sure I was yanking a chain, Scott, and surely there's nothing better than a Zebra printer. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but there are 2.5 million Zebra printers out there operating happily in distribution centers, factories, industrial facilities across the world. I'd say the Zebra printer has been a phenomenon of the auto ID industry. Scott, you see a barcode label and you know there's a Zebra behind it. So I'm pretty sure I was yanking your chain.
So 2.5 million Zebras, that is shocking and surprising. But you did mention that there was a better labeling solution than the Zebra printer. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I think I know what you were talking about now. We were discussing the whole barcode label printing solution. So in other words, not just the printer. We were talking about the software, the printer, the service. And I think where I was going was that so many companies are let down by that whole printing solution. So you think about it, those 2.5 million Zebra label printers have been purchased pretty much always for point solutions over the last 20 years, for printing a specific label in a warehouse or for printing a specific pallet type label in a production facility. But it'll be no surprise to hear that the systems of which those printers are a part, well, we're 20 years on, 10 years on, those systems are just not optimized. So however good the printer is, they're in an environment where it's slow or it's limited or it's antiquated. Basically, the labeling system is inadequate.
But it doesn't make it sound like it's a printer problem at all.
Right, exactly. I don't think it is. Good news, Scott. It's not a Zebra problem specifically. I guess you better explain it as saying it's a software problem.
So what's the challenge with the software?
Okay, so the problem is that where you've got a company, I'm sure many of your listeners will relate to this, that they've got software running in their supply chain that could be 10, 15, 20 years old. And it's that software that's running the Zebra label printers. So, Scott, you may have the world's greatest printer, but you can hardly expect top performance when the software systems that those printers rely on are anything up to 20 years old or even more. So many companies have got label designs that are locked down and can't be updated, or they've got thousands of label designs in a chaotic library, no quality system to speak of.
Right. So it sounds like there's an operational challenge there where you might need an expert. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Again, I'm sure many of your listeners will relate to a situation where they're dependent on a few individuals who are the experts, in this case, in the labeling system. Or the whole system just takes so long because it's dependent on an individual making a code change or something like that. Or the system is so antiquated that it might take 10 seconds or more to print a critical barcode shipping label. Or it could take days or even weeks to make a change to a label template. You know, all of these legacy systems that just slow everything up.
So let me make sure I understand. I can have the best printer in the world, but if the software is not up to date, I'm having a major challenge, meaning I don't have a modern solution, a modern labeling solution to go with my best in class printer.
That's exactly what I'm saying. The Zebra printer is perfectly good, but the software lets it down.
So what are the implications of the software issues?
So the obvious impact is extra labor is required for standalone or manual printing. Also, it's a very hands-on process. It's often poorly automated.
So that obviously has impact on productivity, no?
Exactly. Productivity is the key thing that's affected. And I think many companies start their journey towards a modern supply chain printing system by examining their productivity. Legacy systems are slow or delayed, and it impacts negatively on the rest of a company's systems.
So can you provide me an example of what you mean?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, let's take a beverage production line. You know, you've got a high speed production line. And if it takes, let's say, 4 seconds for the data to be processed before the label can be printed for the pallet or the carton, then the whole production line that's producing thousands of bottles an hour has to run at the speed of the slowest component, meaning the printing
Sure.
operation. The production line On the production line, seconds means serious money.
So how about what happens in the warehouse and distribution centers?
Right. So let's take a busy warehousing operation. Goods are being packed, palletized, multiple complex shipping labels full of variable dynamic data need to be printed. You cannot wait for the data to be processed in a PDF graphic image to be sent down to the printer. You can't have delays like that.
Yeah, I've heard of some customers having to push out PDF labels. So outside of the sheer speed, how else is productivity impacted?
Let me give you another example. Say on a packaging line in a food operation, you have multiple print jobs that are being requested for the same production run. So if a company can pack, mark, and label in one run, it achieves huge efficiencies. But if it has to separate out those tasks, productivity is severely impacted. If it has to mark the packages in one operation and label the cartons in another and then palletize in a third, obviously that's going to be very inefficient. So it's the company's software and its business processes that can determine these efficiencies.
So can you explain in further detail more about these tasks that you just discussed?
Okay, sure. Well, let's talk more about food production, where you've got unique lot and serial numbers, best before dates, expiry dates that need to be printed directly onto every product. Then you've got unique information that needs to be printed on carton labels, and then you've got on the same production line a print and apply system with a Zebra print engine built in that produces multiple complex labels for the top and the sides of each multi-pack and pallet. So you see what I mean? On the same production line, you've got these multiple printing operations happening.
So can you go into more detail about the software issues that are related?
Okay, well, let's take quality. That's obviously an absolutely critical issue. The operations that manage the printing of item codes, for example, such as best before dates or lot numbers, they're often very manual. They can be standalone. Well, a standalone operation requiring a print operator to literally key in those numbers, highly error prone. Or the management of pallet labeling, it's often standalone from any other operation. So we're talking disconnected systems. very error prone. And you can imagine an ISO 9000 quality manager in a food production plant like that, tearing his hair out. Mislabeling of products results in quarantine, rework, scrappage, recall. So the risks are high, and yet the processes make that production run prone to error.
So to your point, I would think life sciences is one of those verticals or specific industries that quality is extremely important and super impactful.
Okay, absolutely. In fact, you pick on, if the food industry requires high quality, life sciences, the ultimate in quality assurance requirements. There's compliance and regulation throughout. By the way, Scott, when we talk about life sciences, we're meaning pharmaceutical, medical devices, biotechnology, agro, animal, veterinary sciences. All of these life sciences is what we're talking about. And obviously the label that carries health and safety information in life sciences, we're talking life critical information here.
So the software has to manage the data that goes on the label at the right label and at the right time. Is that correct?
Exactly right. And a major part of our activity working alongside Zebra is working closely with life sciences manufacturers to make sure that every step in the supply chain printing process is perfectly accurate and timely.
So thinking about, I guess, the future or where we are today, uh, making changes to a legacy system has got to be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we work very closely with customers to identify exactly how it is that we can take steps, step by step, towards a modern labeling system. Since a lot of companies, even in life sciences, they've got hard coded ZPL and other printer languages or PDF generators built into their SAP or their Oracle system. It's very hard to change, but obviously we work with companies to do that, and you end up with a modern, flexible, fast system that's quality managed. That's the priority.
But what you just mentioned was that some of the stuff is hard coded. So what
Yeah.
happens in a labor market like today, where some of those resources leave, and you don't have the same person who hard coded that in anymore?
Well, right. In fact, Scott, the irony of all of this is that there are various compelling events that bring Loftware into a customer to solve their labeling problems, and one of them is the guy who wrote the code is gone, and absolutely that we then need to do a root and branch analysis of the labels, the label design, the maintenance, and what we're trying to do is unburden IT from labeling and empower business users and enable quality managers to do their job, make sure that change requests go through smoothly and label templates and other processes within the printing system get updated quickly.
So who within the IT system, I would say, is responsible for an RFID label or identifying the right template that has to go on the barcode? Is that
Yeah.
IT?
Well, no, that's the point. Very often, IT is responsible for labeling, and yet actually the knowledge around barcode standards and compliance is in operations or quality, or often even companies have a labeling manager. There are label standards governed by GS1 and other industry bodies. So it's essential that a modern labeling solution puts control over labeling into the hands of the business owners, relieving IT of that burden.
So what's an example of a modern labeling solution?
Okay, well, yeah, a modern labeling solution integrates with the ERP, WMS, and other business systems. So you really have got that modern layer. It's got to be easy to map data to labels from the single source of truth. You cannot have multiple sources of data, particularly in a quality system. And it's got to be easy to design new label templates and change existing ones while driving your great Zebra printers, Scott, to their optimal performance.
Okay, so a modern system works inside the business existing systems. What's being used by the operators? What's the solution look like?
Right. So good point, because often within a production environment, you've got non-computer users. So again, a modern system has to be configurable for operators, menu-driven screens, usable on mobile devices. So Zebra mobile computers and rugged tablets have to be deployed within a modern supply chain printing system.
And so I can imagine that the labeling of one of these niche phases of an IT project gets left on the end. What's more complex than managing multiple projects?
Right. Okay. So how's the project run? Yeah, and you're absolutely right. So often, you're implementing a new production system, a new manufacturing execution system, or something like that, and labeling often. Yes, you're right in describing it's a sort of niche phase of an IT project, and unfortunately, labeling, coding, marking isn't given that high priority that it needs in many ERP implementations or upgrades.
So then, how do you make that a more straightforward project from an operations or IT perspective?
Yeah. So modern labeling systems include tools for rapid deployment, scaling from a simple start. So quite often companies will start with a single production line or even a single printing process and then scale up, rather than having to, develop a whole enterprise system purely for supply chain printing. So start small with one printing process or one production line or one part of a warehouse labeling, and then build up, adding functionality as you go. And a modern labeling system also has to include business rules. So, for example, you design a new label template, automatically that template goes to the quality manager for approval. Those sorts of steps need to be built in, easily implemented within a modern labeling system. So providing authorized quality approval, for example, all within a few timely steps.
So, Paul, we're talking about monitoring and labeling solutions. And last week, I was at an event, and a lot of the customers' ERP systems are moving to the cloud, right? You can
Yeah,
name all the major ones. Cloud is the next big
yeah,
thing. How do we go from
yeah.
monitoring and labeling solution to cloud ERP integration? What does that look like for us?
Yeah, absolutely. The world is moving to the cloud. And already many of our customers are saying we want a cloud based labeling system. And you can see why. There are many benefits in the cloud, not only in terms of IT, their costs are reduced, and maintenance costs in particular are reduced, but it enables sharing, collaboration, remote working, which is obviously such a key feature right now. And so Loftware has the world's first cloud-based labeling system. So it originates in the cloud, and that's so beneficial because it means that integrating with cloud ERP systems is very straightforward through some simple APIs, and we're following the customers that you're talking about. We're following their cloud-first strategy.
Now, taking that for an example, so as an example, I was in a conversation with one of the customers, and to your point, it could be in the cloud, but the user is in the field. They're in the
Right.
warehouse or in the distribution center, and they're using one of our mobile computers potentially, right? And
Yep.
so Zebra has other mobile computer aspects in it. How do we go from printing in the cloud or printing from a device to the
Yeah.
local printer? Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple of things here. The beauty of the Zebra Link OS, which is the operating system used for Zebra printers, is that it has a cloud connected capability. So it means that we're able to print directly to the printer without any on-premise requirements at all. You don't have to install software. You don't have to set anything up on servers. You can print directly from the cloud. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that our software is completely browser based, which means that on a Zebra mobile computer, out in the field, or on a tablet, in the field, or within the Wi-Fi network within the four walls, you're able to print directly from your device to a Zebra printer. And you're right. I mean, the flexibility is the key thing in a modern labeling system, right? They're wanting to print to fixed printers, to print and apply systems, to mobile, to little desktop printers. You've got to have that flexibility, and cloud enables that.
So tell me a little bit more about Loftware. How many customers do you guys have? Are you a worldwide organization? Like, our channel partners want to know, our customers want to know more about a little bit more about Loftware.
Well, it's a great question because I'm in charge of the channel partner program. So I'm the one to ask. Yeah. So we operate globally, and we've got over 1,500 partners globally, all of whom are Zebra partners too. So we have a lot of shared interest in making sure that our partners are enabled both with our software in order to drive Zebra printers and provide the best solutions to their customers. Our product for the channel is called Nice Label, and this is a product that's grown and grown and grown with the channel for many years, and this is the one that's the first cloud-based solution. And we've got our Loftware Partner Program, which mirrors the Zebra Partner Program, so it's very, very helpful because Zebra partners know exactly where they stand with Loftware and our partner program too. In terms of how many customers we've got, what's great with Loftware is that we've got customers of all sizes, from the very smallest up to the very largest. So we've got solutions that fit companies of all sizes. So we've got mum and pop stores running simple label designers with a single Zebra desktop printer, going all the way up to the largest enterprises in the world running complex multinational ERP-driven systems with thousands of Zebra printers located anywhere in the world, and everything in between.
So if I was a brand new channel partner trying to get into the printing space and I wanted to get in touch with Nice Label or Loftware, what would be my mechanisms to do so?
Sure. So on our website, loftware.com, we've got a very friendly partners page, which takes people through how to join the program and grow. And what I'm really delighted about is that we've got a really nice onboarding program where partners join the program and they can start small, start simply, and learn through our online Partner Academy tools and partner portal tools. We can co-brand their software so they get a sense of ownership right from the start, and then they can grow, start and with experience. And there's nothing like growing from the mum and pop designer through to a more sophisticated forms application, all the way up to where the partner is developing their own sophisticated solutions based on the Nice Label product platform for major international corporations themselves, using their own professional services.
Oh, that's excellent. And Paul, so I have another question around verticals. So I know we spoke a little bit about food and beverage as an example through the previous conversations and questions, and life sciences, as I brought up, but what other verticals do you guys service?
Yeah, sure. Just like we follow the Zebra printer, Scott. Wherever the Zebra printer sells, we go to. And that literally is right across the supply chain. So I led with food and beverage and life sciences because those are the two largest verticals for Zebra industrial printers. So typically I'm talking here about mid-range to industrial printers in the supply chain. But below those two big verticals, you've got every other. So chemical and electronics and all manufacturing environments. Automotive, of course, is huge, big users of Zebra printers and our software. Where do you want me to stop, Scott? Right across the round. Oh, by the way, yeah, the beauty of this is that your partners, there's no limitation. They can be located anywhere in the world and still operate with Zebra printer and the Loftware solutions, and in any vertical market. Couldn't be better.
Well, that's amazing, Paul. Thank you. Thank you for answering those questions. And I know we're coming to the end of the conversation. Is there any last thoughts that you want to leave with the audience, with our customers or channel partners who are viewing us now?
Well, I am the channel and alliance guy, Scott. So I am very keen on the Zebra relationship that we've got. because we see Zebra as the leader in both the supply chain printing and in mobile technology, which are the two key drivers for what we do in optimizing supply chain printing. And I'm very proud as well of our partner program. And just an example of this is how our top partners have been with us for many, many years, and they've evolved their business successfully. And we have this tremendous ecosystem where they've grown, we've developed the software, and every year things just take another progress. So yeah, delighted with how things have gone. And thank you so much, Scott, for leading this.
Paul, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us, the audience. I want to thank the audience for staying in tune with us, listening, and obviously go to luftware.com to get more information, as Paul mentioned earlier. Thank you so much. Do me a favor, click a like, leave a comment, let us know how we did. Tell us what other information you guys would like to hear about. Paul, thank you again for joining. Until next time.
Thanks so much, Scott.